Oh my God, you've caught me unawares. I didn't expect us to go live so quickly this morning. Gallimera. Let me just switch the camera around just to show you the real estate today. And I know all those people are interested in our weather. Well, I've got to be honest, today it's cloudy, but it actually doesn't feel cold. We're actually in line, believe it or not, for about 4 days of good weather at the moment. Although I've got to be honest, it is cloudy. But if I look down towards Kerry and Amber Lockerbie direction, you can see the sun just fighting through. A few dark clouds, but not too many dark clouds, to be honest. So I think we are going to have a dry day. My plan today is to do a burning, burning all the stuff that we can't recycle or can't go to the landfill. And I advise everybody to have yourself 3 collections of bag, especially living here. One is for recycling, one is for stuff that's got to go to the landfill, and the other is anything that'll burn it. So we take a bit of pressure off the old bin men as well, and some pressure off the landfill too. All right, so I'm going to be doing a burning today, and again looking over towards Laguna, and as the crow flies going through to Kalamaki, you can see again the sun is shrouded by the thick cloud, but I've got a feeling it's going to burn off at some point and we're going to have a lovely day. As for the oranges and lemons at the bells of St Clemens, guess what, they're actually coming along very nicely. Jane again has been using them as well in the house, so fresh orange juice and stuff like that. As yet we haven't made the miracle of making marmalade yet. We keep talking about it, but we never do it. But we have friends who like to make marmalade, and they normally whip a load of oranges from us and go off and make them in exchange. Anyway, what's been going on? Well, first of all, I've got to say happy St Dennis's Day today. The patron saint of the island, he celebrates his birthday today, so technically that makes him a Sagittarian, I think. I was in town yesterday, and that was very interesting in town yesterday, and I shall talk about that in just a short while, because we've had some items in the press, a reference yesterday. I think there was a bit of civil disobedience going on with the shops, all right, which in some ways was good to see, but I'll explain all of that in just a short while. But anyway, anybody by the name of Dennis, happy name day to you today. Just to let you know, Magdalena's is having a special sale on. If you're looking for accommodation for next year, Dennis yesterday announced that they're doing a 10% discount on rooms at Magdalena's, and you can get this discount up until the end of February just by going to magdalenastudios.gr and make your booking there. I do know yesterday on the Magdalena's Facebook page, it was all a buzz about this offer, and I know people have already booked. Big shout out to Steve Hinkling, who I think is probably tuning in at the moment. People are already starting to book their accommodation for next year. And once again, when it comes to flights, just remember, Wizz Air at the moment are literally giving away flights to Zakynthos directly. So go and check Wizz Air. I know they fly from Luton. I know they fly from Stansted. But I know people who are coming from Stoke-on-Trent going down to Luton to take advantage of the very, very cheap flights. And EasyJet also, EasyJet also are doing some very, very good deals. I did see one in August for as little as £25, all right? So once again, check EasyJet, check your Wizz Air at the moment and see what deals they've got going, and get your names down as fast as you can. Just book it anyway, and we'll just see how it transpires with what is to come for next year with everything that's going on. Right, as we said, happy birthday to St Dennis. Today is St Dennis's Day. Yesterday we had all the gunfire as St Dennis is taken out of his little repository, and he is now in state. There are rules and that about his liturgy. That's all going online at the moment and is being broadcast. If you go to the Irizita website, you can actually watch the actual church ceremonies. They're sort of encouraging people to watch it on TV rather than turn up at the church. But I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Anyway, as well, I had to laugh. It's also the birthday today of the KTEL bus company as well. They're celebrating their birthday today, and the president of KTEL said in his post that the saint of us all is with us. I wish us all faith, strength and endurance so that we can cope with these difficult times that we are going through. And of course, we are going through difficult times. Dennis is also has the reputation of being a healer as well as being a man of forgiveness. So who knows? Maybe the magic of St. Dennis is going to rub off, and maybe things are going to slowly get back to normal. All right. But anyway, we shall wait and see. So anybody called Dennis today, it's your name day, like Dennis at Magdalena's, Dennis down at Michaelo's down in Kalamaki. Any other Dennises? I know so many Dennises and they don't come to mind. But hey, if there's a Dennis out there and I know you, happy name day as well as happy birthday to St. Dennis, because today is the anniversary of his birth. Anyway, let's have a look at the COVID infections for the last 24 hours. We've had 1,190 new infections in Greece. Total infection rate now right across the country has been 127,557, of which 50% are male. Now, regarding the Ionian Islands, there have been one new case here on the island. Now, I did see this come up on the media last night, a 77-year-old man. And when I've gone to reconfirm it this morning, I can't find those postings that were put up by local media. But it's believed that there's a 77-year-old man who's in the hospital at the moment who has confirmed with coronavirus. Looking at the national figures, there's definitely somebody tested here. Or should I say, somebody from Zakynthos has tested, and the only thing I could find yesterday was a 77-year-old man, although I've got to be honest, the local media doesn't seem to be covering that at the moment. There was something and it seems to have disappeared. But anyway, there's also been 2 new cases in Corfu as well. There's been 15 infections basically on arrival into the country by some people, and that's basically from outside of the country. But on the whole, it's again infections within. Anyway, unfortunately, we've had 85 new deaths, raising the overall death toll in Greece to 3,870. The average age of those people who've been passing away has been 79 years of age. 95% of those people do actually have underlying health problems or were over the age of 70. And at the moment, the ratio was 2,314 men have passed away and 1,556 females have passed away. Now, when it comes to critical cases in hospitals at the moment, there are 552 people in incubation in ICUs across Greece, of which 390 are male and 162 are women. The average age of those in ICUs in critical states is basically 67 is the average age, and 77.9% of them have underlying health issues or are over the age of 70. And we do offer our condolences to the families of those people losing relations at this time. Anyway, a bit of stop press news this morning, because I trolled the news before I come on. The Greek Health Minister Vasis Kekelalis said last night, with the daily rates of new infections, deaths and critical cases in hospitals remaining constantly high, especially in the regions of Western Attica, Kozini, Grevna, Kilikas, Pella, Piri, Thessaloniki, Drama, Exynos and Rodfi and Larissa, they are now considering even stricter localized controls as required. and they're also re-evaluating their measures. I've got to be honest, you can't get any stricter controls than what we've got at the moment, what with the booking out and booking in, with the curfew and everything else. But I'm just wondering how much more stricter it's going to get. But anyway, last night as well, the government spokesman Stelios Patos stated yesterday that Greece expects to receive 300,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses in the first delivery, which relates to about 150,000 people actually receiving the vaccine. Don't forget that this vaccine that you're going to get if you want it, it's not just one injection, it's two. You take the first injection, then there's a waiting period, and then you'll have a second one. So you basically have to double the amount of vaccine shots basically to cover everybody. So that's a lot of vaccines. Anyway, he says that these vaccines are not going to start to arrive until maybe early of next year. Now, the government also announced, get this, for people who are looking at planning a Christmas, the government also announced yesterday that during Christmas and New Year periods, restaurants in hotels will not be permitted to open, with only room service being allowed to residents. So you thought, I might go away somewhere, I might stay in a nice posh hotel, and I'll have Christmas dinner in a posh hotel. Well, it isn't going to happen. You're going to have that in your room as room service, which again, that could always be fun. But in my experience of these measures, when I was in Margate, the B&B I was staying in had obviously had to close its restaurant. So we were given a pack up in the morning, which consisted of a yogurt, some fruit, a chocolate biscuit, and obviously extra tea making and coffee making materials, and that was it. That was your breakfast. So but they did advise you to go to the cafe up the road. So basically it looks like the same thing's going to be happening in the hotels across Greece over Christmas. You're going to get your Christmas dinner dumped at the front door, and then I bet if they could put a hatch in and slide it under the door, they'd probably do that as well. Also as well, rules have been confirmed over what's going to happen with gatherings. All right. Now, over Christmas in Greece, which will be in effect from December now till January the 7th, and on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's days, gatherings can only include a maximum of 9 people from 2 household units. And that's the word, household units, not family. Household units. So all these people were in a bit of a quandary because they've got friends, but they have no family. Would we be breaking the law by going to visit them at Christmas? As long as there's not more than 9 of you, what is the problem? And again, this has now been clarified. It's been cleared up. It doesn't matter who you're from. It doesn't have to be direct family. It can be people from another household. So yes, you can have the neighbours pop down and say hello to you. Yes, you can go visit a relation, or sorry, go visit a friend and have Christmas dinner with the friend. But as long as you're back home by 10 o'clock at night and not staying over, then you're all right. You're covered and you're clear, and you're not breaking any rules. So again, I'm glad that somebody's listening and clearing up some of those little grey areas that were actually causing a lot of stress to people who weren't quite sure whether they were breaking the rules or not. Now, this is another change that's been brought in as well. Regarding churches, they will only be allowed to open on Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and the Epiphany, with a limit, get this, of 9 people being allowed inside. Now, initially, they had said that churches could have as many people inside depending on the dimensions of the church. Well, this seems now to have been changed, and they're only allowing 9 people in. That to me seems just a little bit overkill and a little bit crazy. And again, I know a lot of older people take great comfort in going to church at Christmas. We used to love going to church at Christmas, going like to the Greek midnight mass and waiting for the firework display outside and of all of that. But it seems that now they're saying only 9 people allowed in a church. So it's literally going to be a first come, first serve. That is for sure. Now, when it comes to January the 6th on the Epiphany, Oh, sorry, yeah. Regarding the Epiphany tradition of blessing the waters. Now, here in Greece, people jump into the waters and swim, and they all try and touch the cross from the local archbishop as he points it in the sea. Put it this way, only the hardy do that. I can tell you that now. Well, now they're not allowing the water ceremony to take place. Nobody is, I think, going to be allowed to dive into the waters and swim for the cross in case you catch cold, and that could then be construed as COVID virus in this crazy times that we're living in. So that in effect is being banned at the moment. So no traditional blessing of the waters on the 6th of January, which is the day of the Epiphany. Right. Oh, me mouse seems to have stopped. There we go. Now, listen, yesterday when I went into town, I was amazed to see that shops were open. As I was riding down into town, there's a little toy shop on the left-hand side, and I sort of glanced over and I noticed, oh my God, he's actually open. He's got a table outside. He's got a little cordon. And he was sat in the sun, obviously with his assistant, who I think probably was his daughter. And I thought, oh, there's people going and getting stuff from the little toy shop. As I drove further down, I noticed that Bella Casa, again, doors were open. There was people at the front conducting people to come in. And across the road at Jumbo, I noticed the doors were open. A table was outside, and I thought, well, obviously people collecting on this click and collect is now running. But as I got in town and went along Alexander Roma Street, my God, nearly every shop, bar some of the cafes, were open for business. So I went to one of the places because I noticed that they had these lights, which I've been after a light for my podcasting when I do my live broadcasts because the room that I do it from is a bit dark, and I thought I need to get one of these circular lights that seem to be all the rage with podcasts. And lo and behold, they had some in the shop. So I goes to the girl. There is a cordon right across the front of the shop, so you can't just walk into it. And I said, "You're open? You're doing business?" They said, yes. As you know, you tell me what you want, I'll get it. You pay for it. Got to pay for it on a card. You can't pay for it on cash. And guess what? You can take it away. So people have been finding a way to get around this restriction that only if you do click and collect, you can open. And basically, I thought, fantastic. You found a loophole. The Greeks have found a loophole. I can't believe that this little shop is online. It has a website, and it is actually taking business from people because they've looked at their website and said, oh, I want this and I want that and I want the other, so I'll go down and I'll collect it. Guess what? No. The only people who've got proper websites is people like Jumbo and businesses of that nature. Basically, the people were saying, and I'd say, I'll take my hat off to the retailers for doing this. They said, sod this, we're going to open. We won't let you in the shop. We'll cordon the shop off. We'll put a table outside. We'll put a point of sale machine there as well with disinfectant. You stand at the door. You point to what you want, and we'll get it. And I actually watched a lady, I'm not going to say the name of the shop, but where I bought me light, I watched a lady there at the doorway, literally trying on clothes off the rack, and then obviously deciding what she wanted and then putting it back. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, it was a very pleasant morning. I got me light. I even went for a stand-up coffee down on the seafront, which was really lovely. Loads of people. A few people from Dennis were there as well. I remember another Dennis now. Dennis from Premier Restaurant up in Sillaby. He was there celebrating his name day in early. And basically, I didn't go back to have a further look at what was happening with the sales. I just thought, good on them. They're managing to salvage something from this craziness of the lockdown. However, last night, while going through the local press, and I do know this lady, the president of the Zakynthos Commercial Association, Mrs. Lily Buzanu, she was speaking to Ionian Radio GR yesterday, and she mentioned the fact that local retailing trade is dealing with the new click and collect method and the pressures on the small businesses that they find themselves in. And Mrs. Buzanis has said that retailers have been harassed by the authorities trying obviously to close them down. Now, I got a feeling, and what I liked about this, because I do know the lady, and I know that she has a shop obviously on the main drag. Jane knows her very well because her sister works where Jane was working in the summer. And she said today that colleagues, somebody, and I haven't found this either in any of the Greek media, but Mrs. Buzanu said that yesterday, she'd been told that a colleague in Volos had committed suicide, driven by despair at the situation with businesses being told to close. And obviously this person obviously couldn't cope anymore, obviously in debt. And she said, and I love the honesty here, I do not know what software is and what is not. So what she's saying is that she doesn't understand having a website. She's not a shop that itemizes all their stuff and will have an online presence where people can look at something and go and buy it and then collect it. So from her perspective, all of this click and collect is absolute nonsense for them to try and keep their business running. She also said, I think they have to close us. There is no question that retail is causing the problem. So what she's saying is that from her perspective, the authorities are under pressure to shut people down, obviously from pressure from above, all right? But in her eyes, she can't see what the problem is. She says the crowds in the supermarkets and the large shopping malls, there's no problem there with people coming in and shopping. However, where is the problem in the small shops? People coming into a small shop, and when you go to a small shop, they're not obviously all packed out with people. So that therefore, you're all going to get the COVID just because the shop happens to be smaller in scale and size than a supermarket. Obviously, we all need to eat. But then again, the supermarket is also selling a lot of the goods that these smaller businesses will be selling as well. Anyway, she says the logic is that if the supermarkets are open up, then there will be overcrowding. I do not think there will be more crowds. The world is already moving. Anyway, she also said that in Alexander Roma yesterday, she said there were 5 police patrol cars and 2 motorbikes, and they were carrying out inspections. And she said the sentences they have imposed and the controls that they did today were frightening. She says if you do not close, you will be fined. So basically, I think I probably was down there just at the right time before the police maybe went in and started to shut shops down for being cheeky and getting around by opening. But I haven't seen anything in the local press that confirms that, only her interview that she did on Ionian Radio. Okay. Anyway, the issue of click and collect gave a solution only to the big stores. And I agree 100%. It's only the big stores that itemize all their stuff, catalogue it, put it up online, and even the likes of Jumbo couldn't cope with the amount of online demand for people wanting to buy stuff. As I've said this before, people had asked for stuff from Jumbo, and then Jumbo just basically switched off their sale area on their website because they couldn't obviously cope with the demand. However, yesterday they were open and they were doing collect, and so obviously as they would be the people who were running the click and collect as it should be. You go online, you look at the product, a bit like Argos in the UK, write down the code number, pay for it, or pay for it when you collect it and you receive it. But again, it doesn't be walking around looking on the shelves in the way you would walk around a bloody supermarket, looking on the shelves, putting your stuff into your trolley before you go to the checkout. So again, this click and collect, absolute bunkum. Might be good for the big boys, certainly not good for the small, independent little retailer who hasn't got a website. You're lucky they got a mobile phone and a landline number, So you can give them a call. And but I got to say, it kind of gave me a nice little smile yesterday to see people trying to salvage something from the ludicrousy of the laws that at the moment and restrictions that are being put upon us. We should be in a tier system. We should be, so that we can be open as normal. Yes, the areas that have got the infection, lock them down, all right? But for us, an island with nothing virtually here, I can't see what the issue is. Anyway, she also said, and I like this as well, the consumer can see what they want to buy. This is more of an inconvenience, and overcrowding is going into the store and seeing it and then buying it. So what she's saying there is that people will walk around, they'll see it, and as I've already said, supermarkets have people in them, and they all walking around, looking at stuff on the shelves, picking it off, putting it in the trolley. Why can't they? But she did say it is unconstitutional to forbid you to collect cash. Why is it they're not allowing cash to be collected when people do a sale? And that's the reason for the point of sale machines, on these outside of these stores, that they weren't accepting the cash, they're only accepting payment via cards. And again, that smacks to me of Big Brother's watching, and we can see the money. And the money, as she says, is a commission there going to the banks. So the banks are doing very nicely, because when you pay for something in cash, the banks are not getting any money. They're not getting a commission for the transaction that you're doing. So again, that was another thing that she brought up as well. And then she finally said, has anything been done to support the little professional businesses trying to survive? There are many who are unfamiliar with the internet as well as the products and cannot be purchased. I think she's referring to older people here who basically, a lot of them are not savvy on the internet. They probably rely on family and that to be able to get stuff for them if they have to use the internet. And there's people who just want to see the product, have a little look at it, see it in the flesh, as it were, and then decide that they want to purchase it. And so these people are at a disadvantage. Anyway, and she finally said the government wants to help the small business, wants to give them some form of financial support, because at the moment all they seem to be doing, still taking the money off the businesses, even though they're not turning and burning, and still expecting their fees. But at the end of the day, they are not letting them trade. All right. So that's a little bit of a rant there. And Ginge, have you got any good news for us today? Well, I have got some interesting news. All right. On going to the case of the century here on Zakynthos at the moment. On Wednesday, a witness in the case concerning the robbery against the mayor, Mr. Aretakis, has kind of started again. Anyway, a local businessman from Zakynthos, whose wife was killed in an arson attack on their home, he was examined by the Patras Appeals Court for more than 3 hours. Anyway, with particular interest due to the events that mediated and due to interesting events that were mediated with Mr. Aretakis' lawyer. Now, according to the lawyer, when asked if he was linked to the attack, this was the man in question from Zakynthos, with allegations that he made in the past about this serious robbery case, the witness said that he did not want to say anything because a preliminary investigation is underway, and he added that he has taken legal action, filing a lawsuit with this important evidence. Anyway, the trial is expected to continue today, with the examination of other witnesses, including the former director of police, Mr. Diplas of Zakynthos, police director of Zakynthos. Mr. Diplas was one of the persons who contributed decisively to the investigation of the case, and afterwards strongly supported the candidacy of Mr. Aretakis for the role of municipal mayor in the elections. We also want to remind you that the trial is for the robbery that took place against the current mayor in 2016, where he was robbed of 500,000 euros that he was taken to the bank. He was jumped by two men, one an Albanian and the other a former Greek police officer, robbed of this 500,000 in cash that he was taking to the bank to put in, because only a few weeks before he'd been robbed of 300,000 from his house. And the two guys were caught. They'd also robbed somebody else on the same day. They actually stole another 20,000 from somebody on the same day that they jumped in the street. And it's not unusual for large sums of money to be carried by Greek people, on the ways to the banks, because cash is still king, no matter how much they try and stop it being. But anyway, both of those guys were sentenced. The Albanian guy got 20 years in jail, and the the Albanian got 21 years in jail, and the former policeman got 20 years in jail. Anyway, they're actually both appealing their cases. So anyway, and the case restarts after all what's been going on with coronavirus and everything else, and this trial being stopped. And it should start today. The trial should resume. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that. Right, now I see loads of people putting lots of messages in. Andrew the Fridge Watkins is watching. Nice to see you there. Hilary Rogers is watching. Give you a quick wave there, Hilary. Nice to see you. Annalise Willis is also watching. Nice to see you. Amanda Gregory is watching as well. Tim Crystal is watching. Agneta Christofolia, I'm going to have to check you out, my lovely, where you're from. But from the looks of your spelling, I'd say that looks like a Scandinavian name. But lovely to have you tuning in. Amanda Gregory's given me a thumbs up. Thank you, Amanda. Shane Bowen says, Gallimara Ginge from a surprisingly dry Exmoor. Have a nice day. Oh, bless you. Yeah, the weather here is dry at the moment. My old mate Graham in Australia is tuning in. He's watching as well. Lovely to see you here, fella. Shane Bowen is obviously watching. Colin Flinson is watching. Philip Ellis is watching. Shayna Bowen is watching. She says, Happy St. Dennis Day to all of the wonderful people of Zakynthos. Yeah, and the same to you, my lovely. Happy St. Dennis Day as well. Kelly Brown is also watching. Eddie Perry, ex-Raffridge buddy. Nice to see you here, sir. How are you doing? Also, Andy Hunter is watching as well. Nice, another Raffridge buddy. Brett Weston is tuning in as well. Nice to see you. Andrew Keach is watching. He's from Pigadakia, up the top end of the island. I hope you're doing all right, sir. How's the weather where you are? It's lovely down our bar. Bit cloudy, but it's still dry. Seamus Mackey is also watching as well. Nice to see you here. Shane Bowden is watching in. Dennis at Waves Argosy. He wants to say a quick hello to Dennis at Waves at Argosy. I like that. That's a cool way of doing things. Patsy Ann Dobson says, good morning, Ginge. Happy birthday, St. Dennis Day. My late husband is Dennis. Oh, bless. He was proud to have the same name of the saint. I'll be lighting a candle today for all you wonderful people in Zante. Oh, bless you. Thank you for that, my darling. Dave Burns is tuning in as well from the Zante Workers. Check that out, the broadcast on there. Nice to have you checking in and looking in, checking up on me old me. David Burns also says, morning, Ginge. Morning, mate. How you doing? Andy Cowell is also watching as well. Chippy Woods in Australia, not Australia, in Spain is tuning in. Nice to see you there, Chippy. John David Hester is tuning in. He says, good morning, Ginge. John David Hester is watching, it says. Jan Lawrence is watching, and she says, morning, have a good day. I will do, my lovely. Kevin Bell is watching. Nice to see you. Marie Bailey is watching as well. Jane Jones is watching. She says, morning, sweetheart. And Stefan Hammer says, Gallimera, Gallimera, Ginge and Jane. Thank you. Now, Stefan is over in Austria. And I was telling you yesterday, Stefan, just remember, direct flights now from Graz to Zakynthos starting next year. So you can whip backwards and forwards now if you wish, rather, because he always drives over from Austria. But be looking forward to seeing you. And also the pictures yesterday that went up online, the memory. This time last year, we were going off to see Opus in concert at the Opera House. And I know they've got a concert next year. They're doing a final concert at the Opera House. Jane and I are desperately going to try and get to go to that. once all this madness hopefully has abated by them. Jane Jones says B&Bs in our country are taking the piss and ripping off veterans. Oh, I don't know anything about that actually, Jane. Enlighten me a little bit more, but thank you for that, Jane. Lyndon Erickson is watching. Don't forget, Lyndon, the 10% discount rooms at Magdalena's. Get online, start booking. I know Steve Hinkling's already booked, and I know you've stayed there before and you've loved it. Andrew the Fridge Watkins says, is Dennis the owner of Popeyes? I'm not sure if Popeyes has a Dennis who runs it. But no, the Dennis I work for is the owner of Magdalena's, 2 separate businesses. So unless you're trying to say, I'm not sure if it is a Dennis at Popeyes. Somebody online will probably know. They'll probably let me know in the comments at some point. Anyway, Tracy Jones is watching. Jane Jones says, Mr. Boris is yet scaremongering, saying there's another strain. Pubs in this country now will find it hard to make a comeback. Okay. To be honest, we've said this all along. This is not really a virus. This is a kind of a flu. All right. Somehow it's got told it's a virus. And yes, it changes. The flu changes every year. You get an injection once a year. The following year you have your flu jab. They change the contents of the jab. So yes, it's going to mutate. It's going to change. But then again, if more people are not exposed to it so they can build the antibodies against it because everybody's in isolation, what has been proved is that lockdowns don't work. Lockdowns here don't work. Here we are in Zakynthos. We've been locked down. We have no virus. We're still locked down. All right, our numbers haven't gone up because we've had nobody from the outside coming in. However, up in Athens, Thessaloniki and places like that, which is on the mainland, they've been in lockdown and the numbers have gone up. It hasn't worked. You need to protect the vulnerable, let the virus do what it does, go the way it goes, protect the vulnerable, and let people build the herd immunity, the same as what Sweden did, and then you get the antibodies into your body, and then the antibodies then start to learn to fight the infection as it starts to mutate. And then obviously fewer people then will get the serious symptoms of it and then be greatly affected. And the other thing you've got to remember is that people that are older are more susceptible, more vulnerable. They already have underlying health conditions and they are going to maybe, unfortunately, pass away at some point. And so therefore, yes, the virus gets into them. That's why they need to be protected, because the virus just exacerbates the underlying symptoms that they already have. So at the moment, sometimes you feel like even the scientists are just plucking things out of the air in the way of, like we're saying now, they're talking about even more stricter stringent measures for us here in Greece. How much more stricter can we get? We're already on a curfew. We're already booking in and out. We're already being fined for not wearing a mask. People are already losing their businesses, losing their homes. That is all to come about. The economy has to take a priority because at the end of the day, if people aren't able to eat and people aren't able to work, that is going to cause much more of a stress to the health system because people become ill because they're not living a normal life. Mental health issues are probably on the rise. And don't forget, domestic violence, children in abusive households where going to school was an escape. And it was also a place where they would get a meal during the day, which they probably might not be getting at home. Things have to go back to normal. So let's hope after this Christmas period, there's a normalance of sense comes and people, you know, things start to prove. And I think sometimes the government are just flailing around in the dark without any clear directive of what they're doing. They're doing something because we have to look like we're doing something. If they turn around and said, right, let's open that thing up tomorrow, let's protect the vulnerable, we'll let herd immunity rule, go off open to the shops, open to the thing. You can go away. You can do this. Nobody's got the balls to do that. I think that bails down to it. Yeah. So anyway, there's my rant at the moment. Okay. But you know where I'm coming from. Somebody here said again, Jane Jones says, look at London, the general public doing Christmas shopping and asking to keep 2 meters apart. Yeah, true. London in tier 3. Again, the tier system in the whole of Britain, I'm just totally lost with it. I really am. And it's this erosion of, we're doing this for your safety. We're doing this for your safety. And in some ways, you know what? You're not even making us safe. All you're doing is making the situation worse. But I know from our local perspective, we don't need to be locked down. We don't need to be kept in our houses. And I know we're running a much stricter scheme in Greece, which in some ways is making more common sense when you look at the money that's been thrown at like the NHS, at measures for prevention and everything else. And where's that money got to come from? It's got to come from the taxpayer who's got to put it back. Britain is also heading into a massive, not recession, but depression. And as for America, even worse. They sneeze, we catch a cold, and it will link across to us. So anyway, thanks for that, Jane. I appreciate that. All right, Angela Love is watching. Amanda Gregory, we had more freedom when the tourists were here. Virus outbreak. They did not lock it down. Yeah, do you know what? You're right. We had more freedom when the tourists were here. We had annoyance because business was being impeded. And then the lunacy of the midnight shutdowns where people wandered aimlessly like zombies looking for things to do and places to go when they would be better off in a bar, basically in a controlled environment than wandering around, thousands of people on the beach, wrecking the beach, clearing up the mess every day, and bars empty. And where were the police? Running around. You've got a light on, €10,000 fine. Or you've got somebody standing around the front of your bar. €10,000 fine. But you weren't down the beach clearing all the yobs off, were you? No, you were nowhere to be seen because you knew you'd get your asses kicked if you'd gone down the beach. And yeah, but anyway, that's by the by. So anyway, Nicola Hooper is watching as well. Costas Theo, Christo as well. Nice to see you, Christo, tuning in. Also, Christine Fesler Amanitis is watching as well. Also, Christine Coldwell from Leighton Buzzard is tuning in. Nice to see you, Christine. Hope you're all right and everything is good at Lloyd's Pharmacy at the moment. Glenn Stanley is watching as well. Tim Crystal is watching. He says it's nice and sunny here in Oxford. Yes, I bet it is and all. Lucky you, but for how much longer? Linda and Gary from Essex are watching as well. They're saying hello. Also, Maureen Elves is watching from round the back. Nice to see you tune in. Listen, I don't know how long this broadcast has gone on, but it feels like it's gone on for a long time. Can I just thank everybody that's tuning in? Just to remind you, did show 19 yesterday. That show is now up online. You can watch it on Mixcloud and you can also watch it on as a download as well. There's a download link that you can download, see the video, hear the music. Once again, thank you for the comments on the show. I'm still at the moment in the process of making a show for Green Gables Nursing Home, and I'll be doing that for Christmas. That will be a private show for them. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a show for Christmas at the moment, the way things are going. I might make some kind of pre-recorded show, but I'll see how things are. If I haven't been carted off for dissent. And Amanda Gregory says, Ginge for mayor. Do you know what? It's a poison chalice being the mayor. When I look at the crap that you get as the mayor, you can see why a lot of people don't really want the job, all right? Because it isn't an easy job, especially on this island, to be the mayor. Anyway, listen, thanks a lot for tuning in. I will catch you later. Once again, download or watch me show on Mixcloud. The 60s Part 1 show is now down because show number 19 is now in the Dropbox. And I will catch you later. You take care. Have a great day wherever you are. And I'll speak to you soon. Ta-ra.